I would like to call to order the December 1st Mount Angel City Council meeting. Please join me in the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilor Eager. Here. Councilor Morgan.
Here.
Councilor Donahue.
Here.
Councilor Ott.
Here.
Councilor Hofer. Here. Councilor Millette.
Here.
Our youth advisory counselor is absent this evening. Mayor Powell.
Here. So we are going to add a additional item under guests and announcements. City Manager.
Thank you.
Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, I would like to take this distinct opportunity to express how proud I am to introduce you tonight to your new library director, Dylan Beck. Dylan most recently came to us from employment with the city of Newburgh. He has a lot of significant talents and experience that we all plan to use to the fullest extent of our municipal ability. Not to mention the fact that he does have a master's degree in library science, has a lot of really good experience in libraries in the Marin County area. And I would like to introduce Dylan and give him an opportunity to say hello to the council.
Sure. Hi, it's great to meet you all. I have been a library worker, I guess, since 2011. And I've been working in public libraries since 2017. And it's where my heart is. The last year, I've been the city grant writer for Newburgh. So I'm really hoping to bring some grant writing skills and experience to Mount Angel, and hopefully not just the library. I know how expensive infrastructure is, so I'd love to help with any dollars for that.
My own part.
And I wrote my master's thesis about Mount Angel Public Library, so it feels a lot like I'm just coming home. So it's really great to be here.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, this is customary. Your first council meeting as a new employee, you get to run the meeting.
Do I get the gavel?
You can hold it down. Thank you, Dylan. Appreciate you being here. With that, we're going to introduce Kip and Laura. Go right ahead.
That's just one is to kind of stand.
Wherever you are most comfortable.
You see that map? It's not sharing.
It's shared.
It's shared at the bottom, right?
Oh.
It's good now.
All right.
I need to go full speed.
F5.
Click on that window where your mouse is first.
This one.
Yeah,
And then have that. Doesn't.
all right. That's fine.
Not as good as this one.
Alright, cool. So my name is Kip Morris. I work for SegCorp. We're a nonprofit economic development organization. Been around for 43 years now, and what we're here to talk about today is enterprise zones. And I'm here to speak with Laura Conroy from the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments as well. So I'm gonna give you, go down 2 slides. I'm gonna give you, the history and the purpose and how enterprise zones work. So, the purpose of the enterprise zones, Oregon's enterprise zone program encourages local job creation and private investment by offering temporary property tax exemptions on new facilities, equipment, and industrial expansions. The incentive is designed to attract trade sector business, support economic diversification, and stimulate growth in communities facing barriers to investment. The history of the enterprise zone. Established in 1985, the enterprise zones were created to strengthen regional economies by lowering the upfront development costs for businesses choosing to locate or expand in designated areas. Originally limited in number and duration, the program has evolved into a widely used local economic development tool managed by city, county, board, or tribal sponsors. How do enterprise zones work? Eligible businesses, typically manufacturers, processors, distributors, and other trade sector employers, receive 100% property tax exemption on qualified new investments for 3 years. Expansions to 4 or 5 years may be granted if wage and hiring criteria are met. Businesses must increase full-time employment within the zone and maintain compliance during the exemption period. Investments must be authorized before construction or installation begins, and most retail or service uses are not limited. And then just a little bit more on the history with Silverton and Mount Angeles enterprise zone specifically. Is traditionally speaking, there has been an enterprise zone in Silverton. Silverton and Mount Angel jointly established a shared enterprise zone in 2013 to attract local users and support regional job creation. The zone operated for its 10 years of designation and expired in 2023. So what we're doing right now is trying to reconstitute that enterprise zone and bring it back on the city. Next slide, please. And this is where Laura is going to talk to you a little bit more about what's going on in the enterprise zone and the constitution of it.
Hi, everybody. My name is Laura Conroy. I grew up in Hillsborough, before it was the size that it is now, and it was more Newburgh. And as a kid, I spent quite a bit of time up the hill. So it's kind of fun to come back and do. I work for the Council of Governments. I wear a few different hats. And one of the hats that I wear, and that I'm going to be talking to you tonight, is helping cities through the procedural process of creating enterprise zones. And I can't remember if you got, did we give you materials to put in your packet? We did not give you materials to put in your packet. Okay. So maybe as follow-up, we'll send that.
No.
Okay, because was that the first time that you all heard about what an enterprise zone was? Just what Kip just went through? Okay. So then maybe before I keep going, I'll ask, do you have any questions about what an enterprise does, businesses in your community? Is that, should we give some examples?
Yes, please.
I would love to get.
Yes, okay.
All right, so let's say that your gym equipment, right? And gym equipment right now is going through an expansion. They're going through acquisition of new equipment, new facilities. Now, traditionally speaking, they've been in business and in operation. So the taxes that they've paid, their baseline taxes will stay the same. And let's say that they move into an enterprise zone and they're able to use that program and the exemptions on their new facility and new equipment. Their baseline of taxes would stay the same, but their new facility and their new equipment property taxes would be eligible for exemption for up to 3 to 5 years. And so what that does is it allows businesses to constitute their production, because as soon as you do your expansion, your property taxes start right now. It might take you a year to 2 years or 3 years to build out your facility, to hire the people, to put your production in operation. And so it gives them that grace period of time to bring that production into constitution. Now, these programs, traditionally speaking, are to support businesses that are going to be paying taxes for decades, right? So the exemption piece at the beginning of it is to help them constitute that project and get it into production. And then the delta, the increase in taxes would then be added to become their new baseline. And that would then go into play just like normal. And it's one of our only economic development incentives for our traded sector businesses.
And I think there is the requirement for that they add a certain number of jobs.
10% increase in employees. So the minimum threshold for project eligibility is $50,000. It goes up into the millions. If you are approved for a project, whether it's $50,000 project or a $5 million project, your requirement for increase in employees is 10%. So if you've got 10 employees, you're gonna hire one. If you've got 100 employees, you're gonna hire 10. Now, one of the great things about this program is that, let's say that Gym Equipment had a really hard time bringing on their 10 new employees. And let's say they could only bring on 5. They would receive half of the exemption. Let's say they brought on 0. Then they would just have to pay their taxes. There's no penalty for this program if you don't meet the requirements for employee hiring. So it's all generated to produce incentive, not to have repercussions.
How long do they have to get the employees? 3 years or we need to?
The first year. So, and that's a really good question. So, that first 12 months that you have to get your employees, then at the 1 year mark, you'll do an average employee head count at the 2 year mark and at the 3 year mark. And each time you hit your numbers, then you get your full benefit. So,
Is that full-time or can that be part-time as well?
it's another great question. So it's based off of average employee time. So it does take into consideration both full and part-time.
So it's based on FTE.
And not all businesses qualify.
That's correct.
I'll just keep.
Yeah, so our traded sector businesses, so when I say traded sector business, I'm talking about businesses that are drawing in dollars from outside of the state of Oregon. Usually turning that into something and then selling it back outside the state of Oregon. So think of all of our nurseries, all of our farms, all of our vineyards, our gym equipment, perfect. GK Machines, Valley Fabs, Olin, I'm trying to think of some up here that you might be familiar with. Those are all traded sector businesses. But also, they don't have to be these huge conglomerate type businesses. I'm working with a little restaurant that's a local business right now, and they make, they've increased their sales for business to customer just on their sauces. Now, this gal's getting carpal tunnel making the sauces, right? And she wants to bring the sauces to market and put it in Safeway. The teriyaki business is a local business, but their sauces are now traded sector, right? So we're absolutely going to work with them, even though they got 4 employees and a very, very small operation, right? So, but it is generated to target our traded sector businesses. Give me some more good questions.
What about e-commerce or hotels or tourism type business?
Yes, e-commerce is another type of enterprise zone designation. There are, they're restricted. There's only a certain, I want to say 9 of them that are allowed in the state. And I think they're all 9 of them. But if there is one that pops available, then you could be eligible for an e-commerce overlay that would basically cover the same designation areas that you have. And then it brings in, think of anybody that's doing business online, right? Like our enterprise zone might not cover your computer that you want to buy for your traded sector business, but if you're an e-commerce business, that's all they do.
Questions from the room?
You ask good ones.
I've done this once before. I did this with a couple communities on the west side of the Willamette Valley, so.
So it was previously Mount Angel and Silverton. So we're only half of that equation. Where's the other half of the equation right now?
Silverton?
No, yeah. So obviously you're talking Silverton too, right? Are they gonna go out on their own? Or are they still looking to partner with us?
Yeah.
Where are they in this process?
So we thought we were scheduled to present to them last week.
Yep.
But we've been, scheduling snafu, so we've been asked to come back, I think next week.
Yep.
To present to them.
Who started this whole process? Enterprise Zone. Who called us to say, hey, we want Enterprise Zone?
Oh, Silverton, yeah.
It wasn't Sedcor and the COG that said, hey, we would love to see this enterprise zone here. It was from the community, sorry.
And I'll go back a little bit further, so, you heard him say that we had it until 2023. Well, we were going to go for a simple renewal, I was going to be given the information from Silverton, but one thing led to another and it didn't happen. So, unfortunately, that's why it went away, that's why we're looking at this again.
Yeah.
But continuing our partnership with Silverton.
Good question.
And I'll be completely transparent, this is the first time Keith and I have presented together, so I'm kind of curious what his answers are, because his colleague that I've worked with, I mean, I think they need the same answers, but you know, so. Other questions?
I'll ask a question for you and answer it. Traditionally speaking, the management of this enterprise zone was handled by the economic development partners in Silverton. Jason, right? That would be the one thing that would change this time moving forward, is it would be a SEDCOR managing the enterprise zone, not the city of Silverton. And we manage enterprise zones, traditionally speaking. We manage the North Marion Enterprise Zone. We manage enterprise zones in the city of Salem. Also in region, because SEDCOR is a regional economic development agency, so we actually cover Marion, Polk, and Yamhill County. And so Laura's worked with us to help constitute an enterprise zone in the Sheridan and Willamina district. And so we manage that enterprise zone as well.
So don't read anything into this question. This is just a dead honest question. What is the purpose in tying two communities together?
That's a great question. And actually, you'd probably be better to answer this one, because I want to say it based off of GIS GPS data. Yeah, and that's why Silverton makes too much money to have their own designation for an enterprise zone. And that was the same situation back in 2013 when you designated this enterprise zone the first time. So you have different what's the data sets that we're using with to establish that?
It's called economic hardship data.
That's it.
So part of the goal of the enterprise zone is to encourage growth in development of businesses, growth of businesses, success of businesses. The state statute says we will only allow that, we will only give tax breaks, allow a city to give a tax break to a business in areas where we need to promote business growth. And so your unemployment data, your household income data has to be at a certain level. Parts of Silverton meet that. All of the census tracts in Mount Angel, as an average, meet that. So I don't know very much about your community, and I've only been a visitor here. So I don't know if that rings true for you or not. According to the census data, you meet that, your entire city meets that criteria. So this would not be available to other cities on their own. As I say, Silverton could get it, but for a very small part of Silverton. So what you can do, this is your option, and this is what you've done historically before, is combine forces and say, we are going to aggregate our data with a part of Silverton's, not all of Silverton's. And therefore, all of the businesses that meet the criteria in those two cities can take advantage of this. So it's a regional approach to business growth. The benefit could be that, again, I don't know your city, so now I'm gonna speculate. Silverton may have land, industrial land, available for businesses to grow, where Mount Angel doesn't. So the benefit to Mount Angel would be to partner with Silverton, let that business, a business grow in Silverton, with the hope that perhaps you have housing capacity, your workers would live here. So you would be benefiting somehow. Or the reverse, perhaps Silverton has the workers, but you have the property. So if you allow the business to grow here and they provide the workforce, then both communities benefit. So this is why, for example, Willamina and Sheridan, which is actually in a very similar situation, combined. Willamina entirely meets, actually all of Yamaha County except for Beaver, meets the hardship criteria. But they combined forces, because they are able to, together, they're able to share the economic hardship data. It's also easier for businesses to only have to deal with one manager, which in this case is Sedcor. So they don't have to go have a conversation with the city of Willamina and then the city of Sheraton and try to decide which city should we land in. They can just go talk to Sedcor. Another regional approach was the North Marion Enterprise Zone, which is the cities of Aurora and Hubbard. So they're on the line between 99. So same thing, Aurora had quite a bit of industrial land. Hubbard doesn't have as much land, but they have the workers, right? So they work together. It's a very long answer to a question that someone asked, but I think Mayor asked, but that's the answer is it's a regional solution in a number of ways.
And I'll add to that too, is it is definitely an incentive to help draw new businesses to the area. But make no mistake, this is absolutely a program that shores up your existing businesses that are here. That's why I brought up the gym equipment as an example. That's not new industry coming here. They've been here for a long time. But they're choosing to expand and to grow here. This kind of program helps them do that.
I understand that. I guess my question still stems from, trying to think how I want to say this in the public. Silverton is doing fine. Silverton doesn't have a problem with employees, and Silverton doesn't have a problem with room for businesses to grow. They don't have a problem with the services that they provide. So what advantage do I have to grow my community? Because right now I'm putting my community first. I want more employees here, I want more houses here, I want more businesses here. I want the people who do own great businesses in town to actually be profitable for businesses and not make it a labor of love. So while I agree with what Sedcor is doing, do I have to do it with Silverton? Do I not meet a size requirement or something? Is that it? To be quite honest, it sounds like Silverton needs us more than we need Silverton, and I have no problem partnering with Silverton in a lot of ways. But at the same time, I don't want to be on the hook for anything that's basically just continuing to help Silverton grow and it's doing very little for my own community. That's why I'm asking this line of questions.
So the answer is no, you don't have to partner with Silverton. The city on its own could apply for the enterprise zone. Once you apply for the enterprise zone, I'm not sure how you're going to resource the management of that zone. It sounds like previously Silverton's contribution was to provide the staff to manage that zone. So to have the conversations with the businesses, manage their applications, have the conversation with the tax assessor about the tax savings. It sounds like Silverton is now contracting with to provide that service. I'll put him on the spot. Is that going to include servicing Mount Angel? Is Silverton paying the tab for that?
Or they wouldn't just pay the tab, it would be joint between Mount Angel.
So Mayor,
So the enterprise zone management.
Is it proportionate or is it based on the location of the business?
that
It would
may
be
be
based
a
off of-
conversation.
It's based off of the management of both zones, so we would provide the same enterprise zone management services for your zone as we would in Silverton. Wherever the project chooses to land at is where the project chooses to land.
I understand that, and I'm not saying I'm against partnering with Silverton, I'm just trying to put all of the cards out on the table so we make the smartest decision for our community. But what I'm saying is if we base this on population, say we got about 14,000 between us, and we're, I can't even do the math right now. Am I paying 28% for everything that Sedcor does in the two communities, or am I only paying the bill for when somebody lands in my city limits?
It's a good question. I will have to follow up with information on that.
That's
I can definitely
that's
let
a
you know.
pretty big factor right there. if we're partnered with Silverton
Yeah,
and we're doing all this to work together, which I'm 100% on board with. But my community is funding growth in another community, that's a
right,
problem.
understandable. Yeah, and Silverton can turn around and say the same thing, right back.
Oh, they could absolutely kick us out,
Yeah,
and luckily they.
They-
Even for our report.
but if it's to your best interest to say we don't want to share enterprise zones.
So just to clarify. Silverton would be able to establish a zone for part of its community. It does meet the criteria for part of the community. Just not as much as it would like to be able to include.
It's probably the Milltown district, probably.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta see it on the map, right?
Yeah, so I think Silverton looks kind of like a Doberman, which is a dog that I own.
It's really like the north half of Silverton.
So, these are the red are census tracts. So the ears of the Doberman and a little bit of the back, they would be able to keep. This area down here is kind of the nose of the Doberman. May not meet the census data. So, but they don't have a lot of industrial land in here. Most of their industrial land is over here. So, it's a conversation, but they certainly could establish their own enterprise zone, just smaller. So,
So if we combine that area of Silverton gets quite a bit bigger.
yeah, it would include, I mean, I'm trying to remember my data, but yeah, it would include. So right now, it might just be without you, it might be that, and with you, it would include more. And there's part of the graph here that isn't. This got cut off, but it's more kind of like this, because they have like the Oregon Garden down here. Most of this place, most of this area is residential, which doesn't benefit from this at all. So to be clear, none of your residential home occupations would likely be eligible. And we've drawn the line around your city limits, but it's really your census tracts. So it's where these red lines and where these green lines are. Your jurisdiction ends at your urban growth boundary, although this was snapped to your city limits. So that's why we've drawn it around your city limits, but it's the whole census tract that is qualifying you.
Okay, so that is what the input data is, but they are not all part of. Because they don't pay city property taxes, they would have to go through, if they're not in our city limits, they would not be part of the enterprise zone.
Correct.
But their economic data feeds the
Yes.
criteria.
Yes. So yes, so it's an excellent distinction. So quite a bit, and the same thing with Silverton, quite a bit of the census tract is outside the Silverton city limits, and it's feeding them.
So do you have any historical data, like 10 years with enterprise zone?
I don't know where either of us here. Okay.
So any projects or data or anything that you could say, hey, we
Nice
did what we did,
Specifically in Mount Angel, I don't know for sure. I can tell you regionally, like an example of this program that was used recently was the Northwest Hazelnuts and George Patton and the Wilco transition. That was a pretty big deal. It involved the enterprise zone, and then also that was combined with strategic reserve funds from the state. Because that all happened in like August, and we needed to have that constituted by October or whenever harvest was. So the enterprise zone absolutely played a huge role in helping that project to constitute moving forward. And to answer your question, if it's not a partnership that you're looking at between enterprise zones between Silverton and Mount Angel, are you interested in constituting an enterprise zone for just Mount Angel?
Yeah, when we know more.
What would you like to know?
I'm not at a point myself, unless you don't mean to speak for anybody else, I'm not at a point that I know enough about it, my education on this spans the last 25 minutes.
Right.
So that's where I'm coming from, and I'm not against. I'm not against us not doing it, I'm not against partnering with Silverton, I'm not even against helping Silverton out because. You know, we have a little worse or better report card, however you wanna put it. I'm just trying to get all of this information out, I wanna see how the billing, you know, what does it cost the community, what is the community losing out on? In the last enterprise zone, what percentage came to Mount Angel, what percentage went to Silverton? And when those percentages align with the percentages of how we're getting billed and the amount of time and resources that we're using between the communities, those are the kinds of numbers that I know the council wants to see before they jump in the canoe with anything.
Fair enough.
Anybody else?
Can you give us an idea of the management costs?
Of the what?
Of the management costs?
We didn't manage the enterprise zone for Sheridan or for Silverton and Mount Angel. Historically, it was all done through the city of Silverton.
No,
So-
like, right now, you're managing one in Laura covered,
Yes,
so I mean, like, is this a monthly bill, is it, just projects that businesses that are going?
yes, good questions, not sure, I have to look into the contract, 'cause I'm not sure if it's a monthly thing or not.
It's fee-based.
Yeah,
Okay, so tax.
yes,
So I am pinch hitting as the city administrator for the city of Aurora, and so I've had to look this up. Because I was like, how does this work? How does this thing that got created here work? Cedcor is designated as the manager, it's fee-based, so if a business comes in and wants to take advantage of this, they have to pay an application. And I think the resolution I was looking at today was 2 years ago, 2023. And so I think the fee was something really small, like $100 or something. And so my finance manager and I were having a conversation about whether that was adequate. Because we have a business that might be very interested in this. They're kind of like Kip was talking about, they make some things right now for retail sale, but they're interested in building a much bigger building in the area and maybe making things that they could sell elsewhere. Hence, it was relevant for me to go take a look at this. So my thought was, well, if we're gonna invite Cedcor to come in and talk with this business and help them figure out how to take advantage of this tax break, I need to make sure that I'm covering my costs for Cedcor. So I need to make sure that my fee to that business is up to date, it's just like planning fees, and that I can recover the cost or pass through Cedcor's costs to them. So the Willamina Sheridan, I believe is the same way. We established that and then Cedcor and the cities negotiated a management contract, but I think it's still fee-based. So that's how, so if you had a company that wanted to come in here into Mount Angel, they would apply, your fee in theory would be enough to cover the Cedcor cost to help that business make application, and take advantage of the program. So ideally, the city wouldn't be out the cost. It would be the business that would be covering that.
Yes.
That costs us more than $100.
Yes.
Probably share in there.
So I appreciate this because I'm learning with you to the north, right? So I haven't been in city governance long enough to know how long it takes to walk a business through this. I know there's an application form, I know there's an interview process, but I think that would probably be a good conversation.
for the enterprise zone, I mean, we're talking weeks. Yeah, if the project's approved, they meet the criteria, you're talking 4 to 6 weeks.
So Cedcor is on T&M during that period of time.
Yep. Yes, because our fees do include, and you're right, there's a deposit and then hourly, but we were wondering if the deposit was now. So Aurora just looked at its land use fees, so.
So the end answer is that the entity that's going to pay the fees for the enterprise zone, they do the work, is the business.
Yes.
The city.
And it's a reimbursement, it's just like planning, so if a developer comes in, and you have to have your city engineer, your city planner, your city attorney, your whoever, and your staff look at it, eventually that developer is paying for those or, through the application fee and time and materials. So at least the way I understand it, that's how SEDCOR does it as well, is that if a business comes in, wants to take advantage of the program, you charge them a deposit and then an hourly rate that in theory allows you to recover your costs with SEDCOR. And I say in theory because I don't know what the arrangement would look like, so. Okay, putting my Council of Governments hat back on, taking my Aurora hat off. So my job with the Council of Governments is to, if you choose to proceed with it, and I'm not asking you to make that decision tonight, is to help you with the process of establishing the zone. Because there's a bit of process to do that. The first process is figuring out if you would even be eligible. And I've looked at your economic data and the answer is yes. So we're here tonight, because if you weren't eligible, I wouldn't be here. But just because you decide to give a business a tax break, doesn't mean that it gets done, because there are other jurisdictions that benefit from the tax base. So taking Silverton out of the picture altogether, there are other jurisdictions, your library district, your fire district, your school district, that depend on this tax base. So if you want to do this, you have to give them notice that in the city of Mount Angel, you are going to give businesses that look and act a certain way a tax break, and that for 5 years, and then it resets. And that they are also going to be impacted. Now, you don't need their permission, with the exception of the school district. Asterisks, we'll come back to that in a minute. But you do have to give them notice. You have to give Business Oregon that administers this program notice. You have to meet economic hardship data. I've let Business Oregon know that we were having this conversation tonight. I did not represent any decision that you might make. I just said, we're having this conversation. That we also had that conversation, and we're planning to, and will now have it with the Silverton City Council next week. That kind of meets the first step of give Business Oregon notice that you might want to do this. The second step is looking at your economic data and seeing if you qualify. And you do. Actually, I think I have a slide on this. Did we go on to the fifth? So I have to give Business Oregon notice. I have to look at your economic data and put a map together that includes an area that would meet the economic data. We have to give notice and hold a public meeting with all the taxing districts. We have to enter into an agreement with the school districts. Now, if it's just you, I only have one school district I have to talk to. But if it's you in Silverton, I have to talk to two. Once I do all of that, I have to come back to you and ask you as city council if you want to do this. And you have to enact a resolution directing me to fill out the paperwork and file with Business Oregon. And then I prepare and submit the application to Business Oregon. Once the zone is established, this gets turned over to whomever. Could be turned over to your staff or SEDCOR. That's not something COG does. I handle the paperwork for the city if you choose to do this. The taxing jurisdiction, next slide. Sorry. You don't have as many as Sheridan and Willamette. We had 14. Yeah, I was like, oh my God. But so you have the Soil and Water Conservation District, the two school districts, the Extension Service, of course, the county, fire districts, library district, Schmeckman Community College, and the Salem Mass Transit District. You might have more, but that's what I was able to pull and prep for this meeting. So you have to notify all of them that you're considering doing this. I have to hold a public meeting. I might see if I can hold it here, where I walk them through this exact presentation, okay? And get them to sign in that they've gotten it. It's actually, as long as I can show that I've sent the notice to them certified mail accounts. Again, they don't have to agree. They just have to be given notice. I do have to have a conversation with the school districts. That's a relatively new group. Where the school districts, do you want to talk about this part?
What about their buy-in for it?
Yeah,
Yeah, so essentially for this program, the school districts have to have buy-in with it. When you get that buy-in at the very beginning of the program, then any enterprise application that goes through automatically is approved. We have other programs like rural industrial property tax exemption, very similar to enterprise zone, where we actually have to get 75% buy-in from all of the taxing districts for that one to be approved for each project. So this one is a one-shot deal with the school districts at the beginning. If they approve it, then it stays in place for the duration of the enterprise zone.
What are their concerns? What would be their concerns?
Their concerns are the money that we're talking about exempting the increase in property or in equipment affects them because they're part of the recipients of those tax dollars.
So if I understand, that's just, their tax receipts won't go down. They're not getting an increase right away for 3 to 5 years.
Correct.
So
It's just
their
on
extra cost might be, oh, we got families moving in, now we got kids, we have to put in the schools.
But that also then brings them into the know of when these projects are happening, so then they can prepare for that. So if we're gonna bring in a business that's gonna have a bunch of kids that come into the school district, that project then gets brought to the school district so that they can adjust to that accordingly.
So let me make sure I got them out straight here. So the majority of the eligible businesses are in the manufacturing sector. Right, this is strictly industrial, commercial type properties that we're looking at not increasing the tax on, which again, to your point, it's not an increase, right? But anybody who moved into town to work there, they would get the, that kind of stuff. So my question is twofold. So one, we walk up the street and we talk to Dr. Harlan. She says, no way. School board's never gonna buy off on this. Are we dead in the water or do we have options?
you have to have their
Got it.
approval.
If Silverton School District, which is in a considerably different financial situation than my school district is, doesn't sign off on it, we can pull a ripcord and say, if we're interested, sorry, you didn't get your school district to sign off, we would like to look at this on our own.
Yeah.
So there's 4 entities that all need to sign off on this and everybody else is just informed.
Yes.
Got it. So at this point, I think what I would like to do is for council. We know at some point this is gonna come back to us. What is it that we want to see to be better prepared to have another conversation about this and get our questions answered? Rapid fire.
I wanna see how much available commercial land we have. First of all. Second of all, how, if and when we do start this up. Do we advertise to businesses across Oregon and say, hey. Come here, we've got money and the space. Is that something that?
I would love to answer that question.
And then, how much land that's the biggest question for me is how much land do we have? Because honestly, there's not much downtown. Our urban growth boundary is already basically at where Pepsi's at, and that's it. I think we could probably go a little bit faster, but not by much.
This is also expansions within current footprints though too.
Yeah.
So all 3 of those questions hinge around industrial lands preparedness. And we're actually entering into a separate contract with Silverton just to do those three things. So the management of the enterprise zone, like Laura explained earlier, is project based. So if we have a business gym, they want to expand, they know that their space is inside your industrial lands. That's easy. And we go and we make that happen. If you have companies who are wanting to expand that are coming from out of state, SegCorp manages industrial lands, commercial lands. We actually manage where those lands get posted online. We're working with the state, with the county, with the cities to promote those businesses, and that's absolutely. So we do have contracts and work in place to address what does our industrial lands look like, talking with the property owners and the business owners, because sometimes that's two separate entities in the same spot. And then also speaking with you to say, hey, here's what your picture looks like. These are opportunities that they're talking to us about that might help you make some decisions on where to expand your UGBs for future expansions. You know, you might see some opportunity to address some of the needs in commercial or industrial properties that we're looking for regionally. So we can talk a lot more about that. Essentially, there's a lot of really big spaces that are available, and we're in a huge shortage for spaces that are between 1,000 and 10,000 square feet. So it allows businesses to grow. So there might be opportunities to fill some of those niches, you know, where we might be able to help businesses locate into those spaces. So there's a lot of conversation around those exact questions because it helps you identify exactly where you're at, what people would like to see change or where they would like to grow, and then what can we do to help fill the gap and to make that.
We go through the process and it's available costs for buying it, you know, whatever, and but historically, in those 10 years, did anybody use it? I mean, 3 people use it, Silverton, we sat here.
It's a good question, and actually, your enterprise.
That's the case that we need is something above and beyond the enterprise, so.
I didn't understand that part of your question earlier was, does Mount Angel have to pay COGS fees to set up the enterprise zone?
No, I just wonder what it costs.
And because the answer is no, and neither does Silverton. The Council of Governments is also your economic development district, and we receive federal funds, a small amount of federal funds every year. McCray Carmichael, you may know, has she been here? Okay, she's our current executive director, and she has said that these types of projects will be paid for out of that fund. So the cost to set up the zone is being absorbed by COG as part of the funding that we get to serve our communities. We're supposed to be serving you with this money that we get. So this is one way that we could serve you. So the cost of setting up the zone is not going to be borne by you. I don't have the answer to.
Our answer is the same. So we're a nonprofit. We're funded through a number of different contracts. We have contracts with all the counties and with a number of the cities within the counties. So that's what provides our time. And to be honest with you, we've already done a ton of work to get it to this point. Everything's been covered by SegCorp by the time.
So only your cost to manage it if we set it up, then.
And it would be project based unless you decide to do an industrial lands readiness. And then we can talk more about that. That would be a separate contract. And that was where we would actually go out, talk with all your landowners, business owners, you know, and do a really deep dive into what's available here, what people are currently doing, and then what's the available space to go.
When, if two of you come back or you send somebody back, I'd still be curious just about a couple of examples, like, oh, this business, whatever. And 10 employees, $2 million project,
In this zone,
15,000 a man, or whatever. to do.
Yeah, so it'd be nice to see what we do this zone, I think, is what also too.
I can think of 2 other zones that have projects going on right now. I mean, the one that we just set up or reconstituted, renewed, and the West Valley has a project right now, so that would be pretty easy to pull that information. Not that it's mine to pull, I just happen to know that that it's happening. So, okay. Got it.
You ever have cities set up an enterprise zone and then nothing happens within those cities?
So when I did this on the West Valley and was working with Kip's colleague, she's been working with him for
9 years.
9 years. She 7, 9 years.
7 to 9 years.
7 to 9 years, okay. In the West Valley, she knew of 3 applications over the 10-year period. And for a variety of reasons, the businesses didn't expand. Having nothing to do with whether the zone was attractive or not, just their growth wasn't what they wanted to do. Curiously, we just renewed that zone, and a business that is there was already planning on expanding, but once the zone was renewed, said, oh, well, if you're going to do that, we're also going to do this other expansion. So something that they were already going to do, they multiplied the impact to the community, the positive impact to the community because of the zone. And that's how I actually meant to ask her if that was going through. I don't want to give too many details about that company, but it's a really great company that's been there for about 15 years and they have a footprint and they wanted to not only expand their footprint, but also invest in some new equipment. And so, yeah, they're doing that. And the enterprise catalyst for doing that. In Aurora, I'm aware that two businesses just purchased a pretty sizable chunk of property. And I mean, it's kind of embarrassing, but like last week, because I'm an interim at Aurora, I just learned last week that we have an enterprise zone. And I'm planning on actually going and talking to one of the businesses and saying, hey, was your purchase of this property in part driven by the renewal of the enterprise zone that happened 2 years ago? Because I know that they're planning on building what is now bare land. And I suspect that part of their calculus was the enterprise zone. I just haven't had a chance to ask them yet. But I will ask, and then I will continue.
Thank you.
My thought was the last time we partnered with Silverton, can you give us ideas or businesses that had, during that whole process, who grew? Did we have people that grew, or was it just Silverton?
Yeah.
In some of those areas, how that, I don't know, like wrap my brain around it a little bit, because I expect that it was all over there.
Yeah, I just realized something. You all just had Johnson Economics come present last week, didn't you, on your economic development plan?
2 months ago.
2 months ago. They just came to Aurora last week. And so if I can talk to you as one city administrator, it was kind of overwhelming, right? I thought, oh my God. And I think it's gonna take the city a while to sort of, it was the first time that they'd heard the information. And where I would plug this conversation is, it's a tool, one of many, that the city might have to drive economic development. So you have this huge plan that Johnson Economics wrote. In Aurora, we're gonna take that plan and we're gonna do quite a bit to tailor it. We're gonna do a lot to tailor it because it didn't reflect really what Aurora wants to do. So I would offer, as I'm hearing the questions about how do you help businesses grow, I think this is just one tool in the toolbox. And you can choose not to have it in the toolbox. So far, I haven't seen a reason not to have it, but it is certainly not the silver bullet for business development. Like it's not gonna get you there on its own. You're gonna need lots of different tools in that. I don't know what other tools you have, but at least in Aurora and in Sheridan and Willamina, they need lots of different types of tools. And so the more tools they can put in their toolbox, the better. So whether you do this or not is up to you, but this is just a screwdriver. It's not also a hammer and a nail and a wrench and all these other things that you need the whole package to bring businesses in. And I'm sorry if I'm listening to myself and I'm like, I'm kind of telling you what you already know, but, that's just sort of how I've been thinking about it. 20 miles to the north, so. maybe
Yeah.
then.
Counselor Donahue, do you have anything you wanna chime, I don't wanna ignore you on Zoom, do you have anything you'd like to chime in with, or are we good?
I'm good. City of Aurora thing's kind of interesting because that's where I'm at right now. So
How are you? Hi.
I'd like to know more about how that happened, but that sounds good.
I wasn't there, it happened 2 years ago. I didn't be there.
Alright, so I have 5 things I want by the next time you guys talk to us. I want historical data from the last enterprise zone, split out between the 2 communities. I wanna see how the fee structure works out. I wanna see what my staff commitments of my city staff are. And if I can read my own handwriting, I wanna see samples of the contract and of a resolution from other communities. And I'd like us all to have an invite for when you go speak at Silverton, because I plan on sitting in the room and I wanna invite the rest of council or city staff to sit in to hear their flip-flop version of exactly what we just said. And I would like from my city administrator, any information on the staff commitments this would put on our staff from your perspective. And also what 3 to 5 years of exemption on these increased fees would do to us. Is there a situation where we would be fronting too much because we are the size of Silverton? Smaller impacts are larger on us, so I wanna know if there's any impacts that we are ignoring by forgiving this for 3 to 5 years.
And you're just talking about property taxes. You're not talking about SDCs, not talking about any other fees, anything else that comes to the city. This is simply property taxes, which is divided amongst all of those agencies listed there besides the city.
Yes, and it's not the current taxes in place, it's only the increase.
Right.
Just the portion that's increased.
So I wanna make sure we're not missing something that puts public works, library, police department, city, any of those departments in a situation where they're providing additional time and services because of this entity. I don't think it will, but I wanna know it doesn't. That all of a sudden it puts us in a pinch for those 3 to 5 years. So those are my requests before everybody comes back. So,
With that, I think that's, a lot of those industrial lands should be grouped into the updated water and wastewater master plan too.
I was really hoping that I had put the sample resolution in here, that's what I was looking at. This is the notice, and I was like, I think I've got it, but. shoot.
well, when you come back, nice little package, appreciate you coming, appreciate the presentation. I know we asked a lot of questions.
Honestly, it's gonna help us with our next one, so it's.
They're gonna be too nice to you. So.
Thank you for your time.
He's beside himself. Thank you, we appreciate it. No, a lot to digest in a short period of time, so.
Yeah.
Always.
Great questions, yeah, I thank you for your service to your community. So, okay.
Colby, do we have the appearance of any interested citizens? I'm not used to asking that question at 8 o'clock. Review of accounts payable. Thank you, guys. Counselor Storga,
No questions.
Counselor Ott,
And on the first page, there's 3 plum trees. That were bought, where are they going? Anybody know?
There's 3 plum trees that were
Plum
purchased.
trees.
Oh,
Boring Square Garden Center.
Yeah, so those were planted on the walkway between Cindy Lane and Lincoln Street.
Oh, okay. I was like, were they? That's all I have.
Counselor Black. I had two things. One, I don't know what page it was on, is so we are, so we're responsible to chip in on the striping of the county roads. Every year they charge us to stripe their roads, because they're in our town.
Well, they also stripe the city roads too, like going up East College.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the part I was missing, thank you. Alright, next question, did anybody find the accounts payable report easier to utilize this month? Due to the missing charges under $25. Well, I was so disappointed, alright. Did anybody miss anything? Did it make a
Well, it's
difference?
so involved with the start of it. They could add numbers.
Right? Is this something we can keep moving forward with?
Yeah.
Alright.
Killing less trees. Well, I don't know about this month, but
We-
future months we will.
We say, okay,
Can we bid up?
Please,
Can we
go
bid up to now?
online and not print these out.
Yeah,
Can we put a bid for hiring?
But that reflects everything's in that was spent. Even anything under 25, not in there.
So the grand total is what is in the report.
yes, it's a report total, not a spend total. Okay, well, there, I guess we have it, Tara.
You just let me know if you ever wanna increase that number,
What did we do it on? 20 or
20 or 25.
Could you?
It says at the very top of your detail,
Yeah, could you produce though, the
the
total
report
amount?
says $20. It shows you, we're not trying to hide anything, it actually tells you at the top of the report, top left-hand corner, report criteria. Invoice detail record
Oh,
above
yeah.
$20 included.
Yeah, but I guess the $20 is not gonna make a big difference in what I'm about to say. But could you get a total amount? Including those that we would exclude, whatever that.
We would have to manually add that, yeah.
Alright. Moving on to the consent agenda. Questions, updates, corrections? Counselor Donahue, give me a thumbs up. Okay. Counselor Storia. Counselor Black. Counselor Hofer. Council President Yu. Okay. Alright, Counselor Ott.
And then,
Alright, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
So made by Counselor Hofer, seconded by Counselor Storia. Roll call please.
Counselor Bullock,
Aye.
Counselor Eder,
Aye.
Counselor Hooper. Aye. Counselor Astoria.
Aye.
Counselor Donahue,
Aye.
Counselor Ott,
I,
Mayor Bob.
Aye. Business. Resolution 1615. Find the cap sheet on it. Tara.
It's been 2 years. I tried to do this last year and didn't get to it, so this is 2 years worth of updates in front of you on the employee handbook. Is there any questions, concerns?
I have one question. Listed it's in red, the corrections. What is the green?
Oh, I did put that in the, thought I did, I meant to. Yes, the last sentence under the first paragraph in background, all additions or subtractions are highlighted in red. Green font is used for text that has been moved to a new location. Yeah, so it's like a cut paste.
And I was like, I know there's a reason for it.
Yeah,
My
exactly.
brain's not processing it.
Yeah. It's because it's Christmas, no, just kidding.
I know, right?
Pre-Christmas document.
Perfect.
Christmas egg.
Any other questions? I had one paragraph on handbook, page 30. That maybe I'm just struggling with my reading comprehension.
Back at page 30,
No, back at page 60.
thank you.
Halfway down, employees requesting leave to care for their dependent children. Due to a public health emergency will be required to notify the city of their intent to take leave. If the governor declares an emergency. Okay, I figured it out. If the governor declares an emergency at least 30 days prior to the start of the emergency. Notice is not, okay, I was reading it wrong. I was reading it as, it wasn't making sense, because it was saying that the employee would have to provide the city their intent. If the governor declares an emergency, they would need to let you know 30 days before the emergency, and I'm going, wait a second, how are we gonna know 30 days before the emergency? I just needed to read it about a fourth time.
It's a city issue.
It helps
crystal
sometimes
ball.
when you read it out loud too.
Reading it out loud does help. So with that, my apologies. So it makes sense to me now, I have no further.
Okay, excellent.
With that, I would entertain a motion if there's no other questions. What's open, I will give you that.
I move to approve the attached resolution 1615 adopting the 2025 City of Mount Angel Employee Handbook.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilor Storgus, seconded by Councilor Locke. Roll call please.
Counselor Hop,
Aye.
Counselor Olet.
Aye.
Counselor Eater.
Aye.
Counselor Hooper. Aye. Counselor Astorga.
Aye.
Counselor Donahue.
Aye.
Mayor Fowler.
Aye. Somewhere very back, there's one more item. Let's see. Computer internet acceptable use policy. Contact person for this. Jackie.
Yeah,
Okay. We're gonna make Dylan do it.
I won't make Dylan do it. Yeah, it's his first day. So best practices are to review our policies every 3 years. This has been a little more than that. And reviewing doesn't necessarily mean revising, but things are changing quickly. So I suggested, well, actually, the library advisory board established a ad hoc committee, and so the three of us went over the policy. We made some changes. What you've seen here is been approved by the library advisory board, and they submit it to you for your approval. And I'm here to answer any questions. The yellow is anything that I've added or you've added. You can see the things that have been marked out. Basically, anything that said materials, we crossed out and added resources. Instead of patrons, we use users. So what you have is our proposal.
Question, because it's in the background, piqued my interest, is there. The city's attorney also reviewed the document, offered one change. Can you talk about what that one change was?
She basically, it was a really simple change. She took out one sentence because she said it was redundant, that we'd said it somewhere else before. So it's like, okay. And I don't even remember where it was, but it wasn't that big of a deal. It was, yeah.
I just had a random question that popped into my head, and that was, don't recall seeing it in here, and I don't know that we care. Internet use for business and personal gain. Don't care.
Okay.
Perfect.
It just has to be legal.
Okay.
And non-destructive, but.
You get much stock trader sitting there, day trading? No.
Well, there is one guy that doesn't have it, no, he uses and he uses our computers and he gets on his phone, and people can use their phone just like they can talk in the library as long as it's not disruptive, but he talks really loudly. And I have had to talk to him before, but but that's it, yeah, but yeah, people, a lot of times now, because of smartphones, these computers aren't used as much except for printing. But our Wi-Fi is used, and this covers our Wi-Fi, so.
That was my curious, business, blogs, fan clubs, anything that's potentially legal, but.
Your hope is that it's legal.
Yes.
And in the same way that, our Wi-Fi is on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, unless we turn it off. And you'll often see people late at night sitting out here in the courtyard or in cars out front using Wi-Fi.
Any other questions? Anybody like to make a motion?
I move to approve manual library computer / internet acceptable use terms as presented.
Second. Motion by Councilor Hooper, seconded by Council President Peter. By roll call, please.
Councilor Donaldson,
Aye.
Councilor Hop,
Aye.
Councilor Millette,
Aye.
Councilor Eater,
Aye.
Councilor Hooper, Councilor Astorga,
Aye.
Mayor Cobb.
Aye. Let's see, moving on to our city manager's report.
Cool. Well, I'll run down this list as quickly as I can. On November 20th, we received a notice from Portland State University that they had compiled our certified population estimates, which will be posted by the end of the day on December 15th, 2025. Currently, they are estimating as of July 1st, 2025, our total population within Mount Angel be 3,652. That's a 1.1% increase. Actually increased 123 people.
Is that an annual?
Yes.
In number?
Yes. So, for example, in April 1st, 2020, population was 3,392. In July of that year, 3,404. Next year, 3,415. Then in 22, 3,483. 7/1 of 23, we went up to 3,540. 7/1 of 2024, 3,612, and now we're headed to 3,652. So we've gained a whole 40 people.
Question. In one of the random side conversations that was, I think it was at the fireman's breakfast, I was asked why we don't update our population on our signs. And how they thought it was interesting it had been 3,500 for so long, which obviously it hasn't, but anyways. It was noticed that I think we have 2 different populations on some of our signs. I will validate that before making that claim. But are we interested in updating our population on our signs now that we have this increased information?
We can.
Okay.
Like plus 142.
Do we have any of the old gas station flippers?
We put a little thing right below it says according to PSU.
Yeah.
With a little
Because
like-
they're just estimates.
Yeah, this is an estimate.
They're just estimates.
So I think, the true census is where we were kind of at the last time, but
Okay,
we're still pretty safe. But
okay, perfect.
if you would like us to use the estimates, we can go estimate, 3652 according to PSU.
No, it was just so weird that it came up right after I had that comment last weekend, so. There was a question on how often we update our signs. I will let them know when we have actual census.
I heard that there was a lot of AK, so.
There was.
Okay. Next thing, I've been contacted by a realtor representing the owner of a parcel of land adjacent to the lot that we purchased on West Markham for the new city hall / police facility. Parcels on the north side of the White House at 215 West Markham. There's no address for this parcel. It's actually on the southwest corner of Franklin and John Street. The owner is looking to sell the property according to their realtor and wanting to know if we might be interested before the listing is given out to the open market. I actually anticipate hearing from them very soon, probably tomorrow. As in learning what they hope to sell the property for. Currently, the property, according to Marion County, has a real market value of approximately $37,000. So, I don't know. But it is directly next to our current piece of property. And if we were able to obtain this piece of property at a reasonable price, it would provide for parking that we wouldn't otherwise have from city staff and anybody who comes to the city.
You know that that is.
It's, I think it's 100 money. It's there's a couple fruit trees there, I think some grapes, it's all just plants growing there.
Yeah.
The people, according to Marion County, live in Portland, or they use it down there, that's that own the property. The police department will be going through accreditation process once again. We were recently evaluated against best practice by our insurance company, CIS. Once I receive the results of that review, I hope to have CIS come to the council to address their evaluation of our police department. I'm anticipating having our accreditation process happening sometime this month, certainly before January, where the Urban Association Chiefs of Police has their next meeting so that they can review and go. Recent interviews of our police officer candidates did not yield anyone to move forward. We'll begin a new recruitment process soon, since our contract has been signed in hopes of enticing some qualified candidates. Couple calendar items. Hazelnut Festival is coming up December 5th through the 7th. This event includes a vendor market, entertainment, and fun for the whole family. This festival takes place at the Fest Hall and is being put on by the Mount Angel Chamber of Commerce. And then this Saturday, the 6th, don't forget our tree lighting is coming. Saturday the 6th at 6 p.m. Activities surrounding that will begin at 4 p.m. It should last until about 8 o'clock. Please come to visit Santa, shopping, blue wine, hot chocolate, activities for kids, and dinner in Mount Angel's charming town square. Jackie's retirement / recognition event is occurring on the 8th of December at noon. It will be held at the Bear Center at St. Mary's Church. Light food and refreshments will be served. Please come and consider recognizing the outstanding work by our retiring library director and wish her well in the next chapter she will have together with her husband, John. I'm going to provide you with a bunch of information, but I hope that more people will come and will speak as to their experiences with Jackie and especially how she's influenced the community in such a positive way over the last 8+ years. So please all come. And now, staff and I are happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. We're skipping over 10 and going to counselor committee reports.
I attended the last court, that was in session last month. Very interesting. 6 people came in, all with kind of the same charges. And the judge did a very good job. I think very positive. Touching the way. So, appreciate the education I got just watching.
I appreciate counselors going to see how our one other employee is doing.
Were you there for a reason, Jack?
Is that why you thought she was?
Why? 450 down to 40.
Who won the race, Jack?
Not like that. That's kind of awkward, you know, people.
Welcome to the club.
Appreciate you going.
Oh, and I appreciate seeing flashing lights on the highway and the new speed limit signs there not being obeyed. Seen quite a few of them lately. I don't appreciate what's behind my car.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
Well, the citizen speed patrol. I haven't heard any numbers coming out, but you might have to remind the residents to check the actual turn it on time, I think. And I was.
We're gonna send a counselor to their house.
Send that out. Ooh. With regards to our last meeting. I don't often get approached by residents like. I was approached by 3 different residents, not any relation. Not personal friend, I mean, not friends, but thanked me for the decision we made, moving the contracts.
Excellent.
I asked this question before, but it's the new nursing home owners, are they on the tax roll or what's happening there?
I'm still working on them. They are telling me they're gonna submit an application and I've still not seen it. So we're sticking with it and we're making them good.
So do they have to pay back taxes and then, or
I'm
how
not
does
sure.
that work out?
I'm not sure, but I can ask, I can try to figure that out.
That's all I have.
No, that's a good question.
Do you have anything? Counselor Donahue, do you have anything? I love it. Well, it's gonna be a busy few weeks for lots of us around here. Tree lighting, Hazelnut Fest, Jackie's retirement party. Gonna think of a couple of good ones for that. Be sure to get out, enjoy the community, those kinds of things. Other than that, I don't have much. I too had a couple people actually come up. It always shocks me who actually reads the minutes. Had a couple people come up and discuss the last meeting in very positive ways, so that was good. And as if things weren't strange enough, sitting in this seat, I will be spending my Wednesday afternoon in a 3rd grade class, teaching them about local government. And why the overarching question is why we choose to serve the people of our community in the ways that we do. And so very looking forward to trying to condense it into a 3rd grade attention span. And wrap it up in about 4 minutes, hopefully, and go from there. But with that, I don't have anything else other than looking forward to the next few weeks for sure. Anything else?
Well, and I have one, so Ray is gonna be Santa again this year. Don't tell everybody, okay, so Santa.
Getting a real Santa?
Yeah. Santa Eater is going to be visiting the library on the 20th or the 22nd, is it the 22nd? It's a Saturday from 2 to 4 and we have all kinds of other stuff going, so if you have kids, come. Or animals, I've heard some Santas do animals too.
They do animals.
We got goats.
Bring it down. Go ahead, Joe.
But the rule is no exotic animals, so.
So just so Dylan knows, Santa Eater is a non-negotiable, no matter what he says.
Okay.
Send the police to his house and he refuses because most of the community, we have many years of our child with Santa Eater. And he shall continue until he's no longer able to.
Jeez. I made him a single bird up this year.
Do you have one more thing?
I just wondered, a lot of cauliflower might be in Santa's bag.
Maybe.
I love it. With that. Adjourned.